Hey everybody, Jason Blaha with Ice Cream Fitness. Today I want to cover a topic that is a little basic, and a lot of my more advanced viewers who know quite a bit about nutrition might not find this interesting or particularly useful, but it is something that a lot of people new to fitness and new to training need to understand. And that topic is that tracking and counting calories generally year round is an extremely useful and almost essential tool for anyone who has physique goals in which they want to actually have direct control and ensure their own success at them. Oh, before I get any further, I do want to show you guys something. I get a lot of people who ask me why I don't prescribe specific calf training in the routines that I've put up so far, and the reason for that being is that calves tend to be very genetic, and calf routines need to be a bit more individualized to the individual, and I wouldn't try to write a cookie cutter type routine and prescribe universal calf work. And let me show you guys my calves real quick. For those curious, my calves right now are right around 18 inches, and my calf routine consists of walking. That's what I do for my calves. I walk. And that's how I build 18-inch ripped calves. However, if you don't have at least 16 or 17-inch calves naturally before you started lifting, my calf routine won't work for you. So therefore, you're going to need something a bit more specialized. But we know in nutritional science that calories in, calories out, when we account for the individual thermic effect of food, primarily protein, is the number one factor and probably accounts for 99% of all changes in tissue weight. And that means actual changes in muscle mass, changes in body fat, actual scale weight that isn't transient fluid storage, basically that isn't water retention related or fluid balance related, is controlled completely by the calories in, calories out. And if your goal is to lose fat, for example, sure, someone could write you one of these eating plans that might give you fairly satiating foods and restrictive foods, and you may lose weight on it, but you may not. I've known people who've done every one of the fad diets or the bro diets who've gained fat on them, even when following them perfectly to the letter. So there's no way to ensure that any of these food avoidance type diets or eating clean or eating healthy is not going to make you fatter than you already are. There's no way to guarantee that unless you're tracking calories. And so you're taking a gamble there, and then the question becomes, if it does work for you, what happens when you want to stop losing weight? Do you go off the diet? So there's your problem immediately, is that you don't have a direct means of controlling the changes in the scale or even keeping it where it is unless you know your caloric intake and you know roughly how much you burn so that you can manipulate this variable. And the same goes for people who want to gain muscle mass. If you do not know for a fact that you are eating in a caloric surplus, you're taking a gamble when you just assume you're eating more food or eating a lot, that you are in a caloric surplus and that you can actually gain muscle mass from it. However, even if you are successfully hitting a surplus, you don't know how big your surplus is if you're not tracking. And therefore, you have no direct means of controlling the amount of fat to muscle that you actually gain as a result of the body weight gain. For anybody who's got any goals related to gaining, losing, or even maintaining, you're really in kind of a crapshoot. You're gambling by using any method that doesn't allow you to track your calories. Now, I know we all know people who do not track their calories who successfully have built nice physiques. In my experience, and again, I have a lot of experience with this. I've been involved in bodybuilding and training and personal training since I was 19 years old at this point, and I'm about to turn 36. So I've been doing this a very long time. In my experience, I see two types of people here. I see the guys who develop the very nice lean physiques through nothing but clean eating. And as a general rule, a lot of people who try this method fail. It's not a foolproof method. And those that do generally do so because they eat the same foods day in and day out. Therefore, their diet, even though they say that they're eating healthy and eating clean, it's not healthy because they rarely have enough nutrient diversity. And by basically eating the same foods, they're able to maintain weight. And then if they want to try to change it, they can adjust it a bit. But in my experience, most of these guys tend to stay very, very lean and aesthetic year round. But the majority of them I've met who successfully do this, they tend to be on the smaller side. These are not guys with 16, 17, 18-inch ripped arms. These are guys who are a bit smaller, and they generally are very weak because, again, they never really build an appreciable amount of muscle mass. And if that's your goal, it may work for you, but it's not a foolproof method because that method of doing it only works because of caloric restriction, because eating the foods that are satiating, and they're not satiating for everybody, which is why it doesn't work for everybody. It doesn't work for everybody, not for people with voracious appetites. But really, it only works through caloric restriction, and so you could really bypass that by simply counting your calories to get that lean cut physique. And then the issue you see with these guys, of course, is that when they do want to gain muscle mass, they generally fail to do so, in my experience. A few of them are successful, but they're also the minority. They tend to stay small. The other guys that you see who successfully pull this off are the heavy drug users. And generally, when you see a guy who can successfully lose fat and successfully gain muscle anytime he wants, and he just eats clean and doesn't count calories, I can almost assure you, other than barring a few genetic freaks, that 95% of those guys are absolutely using drugs to do that. And again, that's my experience from years of observation. Really, that is not the best way to go about it. Yes, you can get away with that even in upper level bodybuilding, but doing it in this manner, again, doesn't absolutely ensure results, for one, and then two, there are the health consequences to consider when doing it this way. That's why you do see some people who still get some progress, or in the case of some serious bodybuilders, amazing progress without ever actually tracking their calories. But for the majority of people, and I think the majority of my listeners, it's important to keep in mind that most methods that work without tracking calories only work because they still manipulate your calories at the end of the day anyways. And if you want to actually have legitimate control over your changes in scale weight and maintaining scale weight and things like that, at the very least you need to track your calories, even if you're not tracking all of your intake and your breakdown of macronutrients. If you aren't tracking your calories, you do not have a direct means of control over your body weight or changes in your body weight, including keeping it the same, even if you're very happy with where you are with maintaining it. If you're not tracking calories, you have no direct means of control. And by counting calories, and it's something that's really easy to do once you get used to doing it, you have the means available to you to have direct control over this. And so it's something that you need to be doing. And that's all I have to say on that today. Hold on, let me give you guys a bicep shot. And I'll talk to you next time.